hi everybody, thanks for joining us. This very special Business Leaders in Logistics event here in the Middle East. Joined today by a panel of experts that we brought together with some very interesting folks talking about business activity here around the supply chain and the future proofing of logistics and supply chain here in the Middle East. Before we start, I'd like to go around the table and introduce you to our guests and then have a bit of a discussion about some of the issues that we're here to talk about today. So, Nazreen, if you would like to introduce yourself, please, and your company.
Thank you for having me, and nice to meet you all again, some of you. My name is Nazreen El-Kobe, CEO of ENY Consulting. We are experts in supply chain, end-to-end, all industries. Our core is Middle East, Africa, and basically we work with mostly local companies, local governments, and some of multinationals. Been based in the region since 2006, and been in supply chain since 25 years now. I'm counting, so yeah.
one of the lady legends of the logistics and supply chain in the Middle East. Shukran, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Next, Kunal, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Sure. Hi. Good morning, gentlemen and women. Nice to be here. I'm Kunal Gupta. I head the supply chain for Batil International. So Batil is a retail gourmet organization. We are into retail and cafes across Middle East, and our franchises are across the world. So we present about 15 countries, and I oversee the supply chain. I mean, we have very interesting and exhaustive supply chain when it comes to, what we like to coin it as a tree to table kind of supply chain, not farm to fork, because we actually have our own farms where we grow our own dates in Saudi Arabia, and from there it starts right to the production facilities out of Dubai, and then we ship all over the world. So yeah, it's an interesting conversation I'm looking forward to, and especially e-commerce is a space where we are starting to grow really big in the last few years. So yes, looking forward to have a discussion.
Thanks, Kunal. Thanks for joining us. Mr. Hussein Webby, please introduce yourself for those who don't happen to know who you are.
Thank you for the opportunity first. I'm not going to mention titles, I hate titles. I'm going to give you a quick background about my experience, 21 years experience in the logistics, a big supporter for startups. I worked in the government, and I'm very happy to be here with you today to contribute in this discussion.
Entrepreneur extraordinaire, and more of your story to come in the near future, I'm sure. Thanks so much for joining us. And Vaibhav, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, please, and your business.
Thank you, Kim. So first of all, Kim, Hussein, Nazreen, and Kunal, thanks for having me here. It's really a pleasure to be among you all. My name is Vaibhav. I'm the founder and CEO of Anchanto. Born and brought up in India, moved to Singapore 20 years back. I come from a logistics family. So grandfather started trucking business in central India. I did a bit of detour, did my engineering, work in software industry. Started Anchanto in 2011 in Singapore. And at Anchanto, I'm responsible for overall company expansion, strategy, growth, and product. So product is something very close to my heart, and I really love to understand and talk to a lot of 3PL CEOs, retail companies, e-commerce companies, identify their challenges, opportunities, and build product around that. That is something I really love to do.
Thanks, Vaibhav. Well, thanks for joining us. And today, folks, we're here to talk about what opportunities, what challenges there are, specifically around the e-commerce side of supply chain in particular. So the conversation today is going to draw on our various experts here and see what contributions they can make and what observations they've got. But before we do that, Vaibhav, I read an article of yours some years ago, probably not that many years ago, about what keeps CEOs in the supply chain, I think it was, awake at night. Tell us a little, and I understand that's probably the most read or followed item article that Anchanto has ever produced. Tell us a little bit about where that came from and what the genre of that conversation is.
Yeah, so I think that article was something very direct from the heart of a logistics CEO, and I was running logistics business for 7 years at Anchanto. Three things that keeps awake in the night. Right? So first of all is, and Hussein mentioned earlier as well, that is about people. Do you have a team which is capable of delivering your business plan? That's number one. Right? So that's the people aspect of it. The second aspect of it is that do you have a capability to really make the most out of market opportunity? E-commerce is something which I believe, and specifically in this part of the world, is at very early stages. So even if you see like e-commerce in India, or if you see e-commerce in Southeast Asia, and logistics, when I say e-commerce, I talk about e-commerce and logistics combined together, right? Is at much more advanced stages as compared to here, right? What does that mean is that there are lots of opportunity this industry holds for 3PL companies. The worrying factor is here is that do I have enough capabilities to make the most out of those opportunities, or am I going to lose this business to either my competition that will be able to morph much faster than me, or a new entrant who comes with no luggage and preconceived notion of doing logistics in certain way. They build capability and then they take a large part of the market share. And the third and most important is that yes, I build the capability, I have people, I'm now running a business for logistics. Will I be able to keep my SLAs and my promises ongoing? Right? Because more painful than not getting customers is to lose existing customers. Right? And in logistics, you have to keep meeting your promises every time. So these are the three main worries that I believe that everybody has at a certain point of time.
Thanks for that, Vaipath. Hussein, I'm going to throw to you on this because those 3 points, you in particular are very, very high profile in regards to your views, sharing points of view, opinions, inputs, insights, and particularly online currently. And people is a really big issue for you. Not the least of which also is the fact around how people will relate back to opportunity. Talk to us a little bit about any comments you've got to make about what Vaipath said about those 3 issues perhaps, or others, and where you see things keeping people in the supply chain awake at night at the moment.
Well, people is the real asset in the supply chain, and what Vaipath said is important. What used to keep me awake at night is people, because today the services and the solutions are never rendered properly unless you have the right people. The question here is, do you have the right people who are experienced in logistics, or do you have the right people who are customer-centric? And this is the question that you ask yourself. The mix between both gives you a perfection in the right type of talents that you have in the logistics. But again, the logistics industry is very tough. People are mostly demotivated because of the stress, because of the problems, and most of the problems cannot be controlled by you. They're almost uncontrollable by customs, by airlines, by everything. So how to keep these people? The best way is to keep them by building the best corporate culture for them, to reward them for working in such an industry, to give them a career path that allows them to grow with you, and of course, to make sure that the stress that they're having from the day-to-day operations is not doubled by the stress of a bad management or a toxic corporate culture that you have. So take care of your people in the logistics industry because they are very unique and you can't find them anywhere else. I'm a very biased person in business.
Well, you certainly stand by your views, and I have a very high rating on LinkedIn, so I enjoy commenting with you on that. Nazreen, you are, as we've discussed, one of the leading lights in consulting and advisory here in the Middle East, have been for many years, and a lot of the issues that Vaipath has brought up and reflected by Hussein here around people also sort of speaks to the issue of transformation. We've seen incredible transformation taking place in growth. Of course, the narrative around the accelerated growth of e-commerce because of COVID and one thing or another, and if there's a silver lining, it is around that issue. From your consultative perspective and the clients that you're working with and case examples, what are you seeing as the big issues that companies are facing during transformation? Is it more the people side? Is it more about the technology, the enablers? Where are you seeing the main pressure points?
Thank you. definitely people is the peak of what I call the triangle. And in this journey today, they realize they don't have choice anymore. They have to do it, right? They have to transform, they have to change. Now, what happened is because they didn't change in a, I would say, lean way the past 10 years, now they have to do it in a 2-3 years compact. So it's very stressful. They feel it's very risky, which part of it is, but part of it, no, if they do it the right way. And I would say the challenge is to basically really push them to take the wheel and say, okay, I have to tackle the three, what I call the triangle, the process, people and systems together, but step by step.
Sure.
And that's really not easy. It takes a lot of talking, a lot of explanation, a lot of back and forward. You know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
And but you tell them that we are bold in how we explain, and we are really straightforward, honest with our customers. We tell them you don't have choice. It's either that or you will stay behind. So you have to move forward. So let's move forward. Take it step by step. It's very overwhelming, of course, but yeah, these three are very challenging. Process people, changing your process, changing your people, or making your people evolve. And use the right systems. Which one in all this choice? They are really like, sometimes they really like look at me and, but which one should I choose? Well, breathe, we'll figure it out. Don't worry.
Thanks for that. Can I comment from you on that?
I think a very interesting part, right? So we talk about the transformation, and one of my regret has been that people see transformation as painful. People see transformation as something unavoidable. I think if you look at some of the successful transformation, and we have this philosophy at Anchanto that whenever we hire somebody at Anchanto, we say that your resume before joining company and your resume after 2 years at company should look much better. If your resume looks much better after 2 years, it means you learned, you got exposed, you have new skills, and you contributed that to company. Similar way, a resume of a company staff before transformation and after transformation should look very different. They should be more skilled. They should be more exposed. They should have acquired new skill set, right? Many times people don't realize that the transformation is a great opportunity to acquire skills. Transformation is a great opportunity to make yourself more employable because you got digital skills, you got supply chain optimization skills, you are doing processes manually. Now you have skills to basically use systems and increase the throughput, which is going to be the baseline demand for the next wave of recruitments that are going to happen in the industry, right? So, yes, there is no choice. Transformation is the way. Those who will not transform will be forgotten very soon. But I think we and the leaders should communicate transformation to the team more as a great opportunity to polish and acquire new skills.
Interesting. Interesting. Kunal, you and I spoke at the ITP Leaders in Logistics Awards certainly a week or so ago about this very subject, about the whole issue of transformation. And of course, Batil, as the Rolls Royce of dates and chocolates, thank you so much. Today, really you're going through this phase now of transformation by the look of it. What are the things that are challenging you or keeping you awake? What do you see as the key challenges around transformation for your organisation? One of the venerable brands, if you like, in the Middle East and in the food space.
I think around the table you guys have summed up my daily life, to be honest. I mean, I can relate to each and every one of you. I think it all begins with the challenge of people, which is a huge challenge in the market at the moment, to get the right people on board and then to keep them motivated. I think that's the main part. And like you mentioned, to keep them motivated, telling them this is not a threat, transformation is not, you're not going to lose your job, robots are not replacing humans. I mean, that's every day I have to kind of repeat, the system will not take your job. You still, it's about making it more efficient for you. not by typing everything over and over again, but just a simple scanning will do the job. So I think that's definitely one of the big challenges, and there's a huge churn in the market because suddenly the market is opening up, and like you mentioned, I think Middle East is on that verge of breakout where it's kind of booming at the moment. So everybody wants that skilled labor. Or you've done 3 months of transformation, come and join. You know how it works. So I think that's one of the major challenges.
Okay.
Apart from that, then the next thing begins on which system to choose. So I was again having this conversation. You mentioned introduced Anchanto, and I was like, post Ramadan, which is our busiest period, I'm again looking at few softwares. We have to evaluate which one to take on, for the last mile, something that can also do vendor integration. So, I mean, you want to do so much, and there are so many options available in the market at the moment. How to choose the right one is again a major page point for me at the moment.
Thanks, Kunal. And of course, the Anchanto brand has been around for some time here now. You're a global company. You commenced life in Singapore, as I understand it, as an organisation, and brand, I think, is one of those things that I've seen a lot about the brand over the last 12 to 18 months. Hussein, you've been tied up with many of the big brands in this market for the last 20 years, even though you only look 20. So
He looks 20.
with a half of a
before I throw back to Vaibhav on brand, what brand means to his organisation and where he envisaged the brand from as a founder, you're very big in terms of entrepreneurship and incubators. You've worked with the UAE government in that place. How important is brand here in terms of brand equity and value and getting recognition to enter into different markets?
That's a very good question. Brand equity and brand value are very much important in this part of the world. Today, entities work with big brands because of the history, because of the reputation. But the interesting thing here is, and what we're trying to do, all of us as an ecosystem, is to also start shedding the light on the small companies that don't have those very famous brands, but they have the best to offer, even maybe better than the big brands.
These are the ones that keep on getting bought out by the bigger companies.
Exactly. These are the disruptors who are small in size, but big in what they have. And these are the startups and the entrepreneurs who come from the big brands, set up their own companies, and have something even with a cherry on the top, but nobody gives them business, nobody works with them because they're not known. So this is changing now, we're seeing this now, and it's causing a big threat on the big brands, because big brands are getting old, unfortunately. And smaller brands are popping up and giving better solutions and services at affordable prices and very disruptive. So it's changing.
Thanks, Hussein. It's you've always been, I would say, a risk taker in the market here the last 20 years that I've been here. You've been prepared to get involved in various ventures from time to time where others have been afraid to go. So I take my hat off to you in that regard. Vaibhav, we talk about brand and we talk about what people try and portray and deliver and deploy in a brand. You've been around in the supply chain market now for a good 20, 30 years. From your overall perspective, what are the types of things that you see as important as building into a brand from a generic sense?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people kind of confuse between brand and the I would say the look and feel of the company. So to me, the brand is not the color you choose or font or logo you choose. That's linear. That's just a top layer, right? The brand is something very, very core to everything you do. The decisions you make, the promises you make, and the efforts you invest to keep your promises. I think to me that's a brand. At Anchanto, the reason we named this company Anchanto is from the word called enchantment. Right? When I decided to resign, I resigned that day and came back home, and I couldn't sleep till 4 or 5 a.m. that night and I was thinking of the company name. And one thing that came up in my mind is that we want to build that magical experience. We want our users to feel that, aha, oh, it works, oh, it's delightful. So that's where the word enchantment came in. And then I wanted to create a word potential, so from enchantment I created the word Anchanto and then changed E to A so that when we do trade listing we come on the top. And the domain name was available. So the promise of quitting a job and starting a company was to identify a trend, identify a challenge and build a product around it. And that still today continues at Anchanto. You know that we are going to launch very soon 4 new products here in this market.
Yep.
Every product is built with a customer. Like we work with the customer on a concept or a group of customers say, hey look, we identified this as a challenge. We want to solve this challenge. Is it a real challenge? Yes. We think we should solve it this way. And the customer says, yeah, no, don't do it this way, do it this way. And then we build a very practical product. So the brand promise of Anchanto is, it's not our logo or communication, is about everything that we decide to do is that, is it a real problem? Is it going to make customer life easier? Is it going to give aha experience or oho experience, right? To me, that's a brand. Now, that relates to technology, right? And it's kind of a deep thought, but I'd like to share that with you. Technology is a capitalized labor. You know, if you look at it, so you buy a software, you deploy the software is doing a part of the job in your operations. So it's almost like your labor, but it's just capitalized labor because it's a machine that's working for you. Now, you will not hire an employee which is substandard. You will not hire an employee which is not reliable, or you will not keep an employee that is not reliable. You will not necessarily make a decision of hiring an employee just because she or he wants lower salary. Similar way, we believe that when you choose to deploy technology is almost like a capitalist labor. You want it reliable. You want something that would meet your requirement. You want something that will up the game. And we look at that all the way up to the capabilities of the product as a brand promise.
Okay, awesome.
Can I interrupt? If you allow me, and take it as an advertisement, it's okay, it's a promotion. If you ask me what did I understand from Anchanto, what you do, I think you buy a problem and resell it as a solution.
Absolutely.
That's how I see it.
Exactly.
In a very simple manner.
Okay, very good. I'm going to hit you all. You've all come from very different places with very different perspectives and backgrounds, but you're all very deep in supply chain and from different angles. So I'm going to do a quick Q&A on 2 different questions, one at a time. First question, and then go around the table on the second question, because I really want to drill down as to what some of the game-changing issues here are. Snapshots, more than 15 seconds the answer. All right, so I'm going to start with you, Kunal. What would be the main challenge in your mind in selecting technology? We're talking about technology, we're talking about the customer, we're talking about solutions and the trade-offs. If there's one thing that would be the main issue for you as a supply chain professional about choosing tech, what would it be? What is it?
One will be difficult, but at least I'll give 2. So the first is, like he mentioned, it should meet our requirement as a business. Extremely important. You know, I mean, I don't think like everywhere else, like you don't have one skill set that can match every organization. One common software cannot meet everybody's demand. So I think that little bit of tailorization or meeting our demand is the major thing. And another very big issue I see is that integration part.
Okay.
I mean, it should be as simple and as easy to integrate. Because
you're beating me to it. That was going to be my second question. Is integration.
Unbelievably difficult because within so many verticals in an organization, everybody wants their software.
Sure.
You have one ERP. Everybody has to talk. Otherwise, the IT guys go crazy. So you know, these are the top 2 for me.
You're well ahead of me. The same. The one issue, you've been involved in so many different pieces of technology. You still are, and you will be in the future. I'm damn sure of that. So, what would be the main thing that as a business leader or owner you would be looking at as about technology? What's the main driver for you?
3 things that are very important. Optimizing your operations is very important through tech. Improving the customer experience can happen with tech, but I tell you, not only with tech. And the third thing is, of course, cost efficiency and having a better cost of operations while implementing technology somehow. But the most important thing is technology should never be replacing human beings when it comes to customer experience. So it's going to come as an enabler for giving a good customer experience rather than taking over. Because many people are afraid that technology is taking our jobs. Not really in our industry. It's going to complement it rather than dominate it.
Awesome. Shukran. Nazreen, there's a decision, and this might come from your experience as a leading consultant when you're developing issues with clients and trying to solve their problems and give them solutions. What's the main thing that you're seeing that customers in particular of yours are making decisions around when they're deciding on technology selection?
Thank you. Actually, let me just bounce back on what
Sure.
Hassan said. It's true that the machine, whatever machine it is, even if it's computer, should not replace the human being. But what the machine should do is free the human being, free from the repetitive task or non-value-added task, and let the human being brain work on more important things, and that's giving more value to the human being, and whatever is less value, task repetitive, done by the machine. So absolutely I joined on that, Hussein. I'm a big advocate of human, and it's in the center of all transformation. And I would say here, in this case of this question, I would say that it's true. Today there is so many solutions, but in one hand it's good. A couple of years back we had not so many solutions. So I think, today, because the things are really moving so fast, it's very important to be flexible, to be open-minded, and to say, at this moment, at this stage, I can use this tool. In 2 years, maybe I'll grow, my team will develop competences, and maybe I can change to another one. So I think we need to stop thinking that we are married to a system for the next 10 years. And we need to be more open, and it's okay to have few of them. And I agree with you, integration should be seamless.
Okay.
Absolutely, that's the biggest headache, I believe, and this is where money, really sheds, and it's really a pity. So integration is the key to be, to do that seamless integration within the company, and give the team and the people and the management confidence that we can work with many tools, not only one. I think.
Shukran, Nazreen. Back to you, Vaibhav. You folks are dealing with all around the world. APAC, you're in Europe. I think you've been in the UK for a while now, the US. What are your customers saying to you when they're looking for solutions that solving problems? What are they saying to you about their greatest needs?
I think the couple of things that comes across a very common thread, and I think this is just not discussed on this table as well. The first thing that comes in is that customer wants supplier or their partners who are providing them different tools and technologies to understand the local context. So let me give a very small example on that. The way logistics works in Malaysia is different than the way it works in Indonesia. The way it works in Dubai and Saudi is very different the way it works in India. Everybody has their own local nitty-gritties. Typically what happens that, if you go with a supplier that has no context of local market, local nitty-gritties, local regulation, the habit of people, for example, the expectation of the staff in warehouse who's going to use your applications in the warehouse. If your supplier does not understand the local context, what happens that you end up spending a lot of time, energy and frustration to adopt the technology. What works in India, what works in Singapore is not guaranteed that it will work in Saudi or Dubai. It has to be localized. That's number one. Number two is that what I see with the customers that we work with, they say, mainly with CIOs of large brands and logistics companies, they're saying that e-commerce is evolving, right? So it started people selling first on .com sites, then marketplaces became prominent, then it became quick commerce. You can order something and you have dark stores running operations and you get it delivered. And social commerce, chat commerce. So the evolution of e-commerce is constant. What CIOs are saying, what CEOs are saying is that I need to work with the supplier, I need to work with the partner who enables my operations, who is keeping up with these changes in e-commerce industry. I don't want to run my .com commerce on one platform, and then I don't want to run my social commerce on another platform and my chat commerce on another platform. That is just going to increase your integration efforts. You mentioned. And by the way, in logistics, you're right, 90% of projects fail because of integrations. Integration does not work. Everything works in silo, but when you integrate things together, it doesn't work. So the ask here is that, are you as a supplier, are you as a technology provider, are you going to keep up with the pace of innovation that is happening? And make it available to me as a platform, and don't come back to me with saying that, okay, you want this, I have a change request for you. You pay me another 25,000 dirham for that. So people want more like a long-term, I would say, view of a market. With the local teams, local context, they don't want to talk to somebody which is like 5,000 kilometers away and get the support. They want local account manager, they want local customer support team, local implementation experts.
Awesome. Any feedback from that?
Yeah, I just want to jump on that. A few years ago, I was, on the other side of the table, myself, supply chain director in a big retail group here in luxury. And when I had to choose, I put up a tender. When I had to choose which system to implement, it came down to 3, 4. But the one that won is the one with local presence. It's a multinational. They are from another country, etc. But at least I knew that no time difference. It's a call away. They are in GLT. They can just come and drive, and I don't have to wait. And at that time the weekend was Friday and Saturday, so not one day gap. So I think really 50%, if like 40-50% of the decision was I have local support. So it's the rest, the technology, more or less everyone could do it. But who could help me hands-on here with my team? With the big issue is the people on boots on the ground. So
we are kind of proving ourselves that even when you are buying technology, you are more focused on that people aspect of it.
Always.
Who is the guy who is going to run? I mean, even we have our corporate office in Media City, our production and warehouse in DIP. When I have a problem, I am not on the phone with the IT guys. I said, you come here and sit with me to solve. You know what I mean? I think we all keep coming back to the fact that human interface is ultimately the most important aspect.
Exactly.
But we missed one important point also. The technology should be scalable and customizable.
Absolutely.
Because if it's not customizable, things are changing.
Correct.
You will reach a dead end whereby you have to look for somebody else if you're not able to do it. So customization is very important. And this is what I look into usually when I look into logistics technology.
Well, look, everybody, that's been a really interesting conversation. I'm blessed to have been able to get you all here today. It's a very busy time here in Ramadan and in Dubai. So we thank everybody for being here. Ramadan Kareem of those observing, and we're so pleased to get everybody here. So Kunal Gupta, Hussain Wibi, and Nazreen Malkabi. Thank you so much for making your time. Vibe Half, I'll throw to you as a final comment, and thank you for coming in from, I think you just came from France, was it? Or
from Paris, very
from Paris. Great party. Well, we've got a French speaker here, Nazreen speaks 7 languages. But perhaps you can close out for us.
First of all, again, very busy time, and you managed to squeeze in this time for us during Ramadan, so really appreciate Ramadan Kareem. We established Anchanto here almost 6 months back. We are learning from the leaders here like you. So really delighted to have this conversation today. And very open for all of your suggestions and recommendations on how Anchanto could help ecosystem. Hussain, you talked about ecosystem. We always play that ecosystem role. So in terms of any contribution that you believe Anchanto could make in terms of the technology, in terms of awareness, sharing the data, case studies, information, about the trends in the market, more than happy for that. and I'm looking forward to work with you all in different capacities. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much,
Thank you.
everybody, and thank you
Thank
to our
you.
audience for joining us. We trust that you've been able to gain some value from the conversation with these experts today. We look forward to following the Anchanto story, and I'm determined to get this particular group back again this year for a further conversation as part of the roundtable series for leaders in logistics. So thanks for joining Logistics Executive TV and the folks here in Anchanto. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.